Namaste everyone, welcome to Indic Talks. Today, we're hosting our very first session on our course on Indian philosophy. This course will have 4 sessions in total. These are Session 1, General Outline of Indian Philosophy. This session will be followed by our second session on Cārvāka, Jain and Buddhist philosophies tomorrow. Session 3 on 16th of March will cover Nyāya, Vaiśeṣika and Yoga philosophies. This will be completed by our fourth session on Sāṃkhya, Mīmāṃsā and Vedānta philosophies on 17th of March. Our instructor for this course is Swami Vedatattvananda Puriji. I'll introduce you to our speaker. Swamiji has done BE Mechanical from College of Engineering, Pune. He is a Vyakaran Acharya from Rashtriya Sanskrit Samsthan. He took to monastic life at the age of 23 in 1998. Swamiji has stayed in Ramakrishna Mutt and Mission for 22 years. He has been the principal of Vivekananda Veda Vidyalaya, Belur Mutt for 6 years and coordinator of Department of Sanskrit Studies at Vivekananda University, West Bengal for 4 years. His field of study and interest are Sanskrit language and its grammar, Indian philosophy in general, and Nyāya and Vedānta philosophy in particular. Also, at present he is assisting at Acharya Shankar Sanskriti Ekta Nyas, Bhopal. Pranam Swamiji.
Namaste.
Welcome to Indic Talks and thank you for joining us today to delivering this session.
Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Welcome to all. We are here to discuss the Indian philosophy in general. Though interest in philosophy, either Indian or Western, may be less, but it affects everyone. And that is what we are going to see, how it affects everyone and how it's important or relevant for us. So, to begin with, we should have a historical backdrop of how the Indian philosophical thought has evolved and at what juncture the philosophies came into existence and what made them call as philosophies, and before that what was their nature. So as we know, we generally will not go into the history of the society or Aryan invasion theory or out of this Indian subcontinent or inside coming from outside, etc. Claims and counterclaims are there. So that is not our neither part of the discussion nor necessary. It concerns less for the philosopher. The Indian philosophies somewhere or other have impact of Vedas. Without taking into account the Vedas, no philosophical thought or almost no thought or subtle thought has evolved in India. So everything revolves around Vedas. The historicity of Vedas is difficult to state according to modern system. However, we are more concerned here about the classical views. I am not here to give my view of Indian philosophy or Western view of Indian philosophy. We are here to see the outline of Indian philosophy from the Indian standpoint. The way of presentation may be unique to me, or may have some elements which I may add to it, but the contents are from there, and I am just going to present it to you. So, the classical view of Indian philosophies or the Vedas is Vedas are without beginning and without end. Anadi Ananta. If I use Hindi, there won't be much difficulty, it seems. If anybody has any, so please let me know. Otherwise, we can at times use Hindi terms also. So, Vedas are without beginning and without end. Now, anything without beginning and without end, but existing, brings up question: what do you mean by Vedas then? There are two views about it. One is Vedas means the text. As we have some book, it's a text, and text is the alphabets arranged in a special order, giving some meaning to it, meaning through it, or may not give. That's a different case. Whether they give any meaning or not is a different case. But these alphabets arranged in a particular order, and they do not have beginning. That any alphabet or the order do not have any beginning. So arranged in the word itself is not sufficient to convey the idea of without beginning. Arranged means somebody sat and arranged, but that is not the case. Nobody sat and arranged. Those are there like that. The rishis, through their penance, meditation, etc., tapasya, were in a position to read that thing. Suppose I am given a book, and if I copy down that book, so I am not a person to compose the copied thing. It is already in that book. I am just copying it. I am not altering anything of it. So that was the case with the rishis, the seers, Vedic seers, that they read the text and gave it to the society. So they are, that's why they are Rishi Darshanat. One who sees it is Rishi. So they saw that text, and that's why it's not that somebody sat and arranged. Now Rishis saw there is one school thinking that this text is not arranged by anyone. It is as it is, and Rishis read it. There are some in Indian philosophy. We will come to that later on. How many are there? Which school thinks which way? So there are some, they thought the Vedic text is given by the God of the universe. So those are words, compositions of the God or Lord or Ishvara, Jagadīśa, whatever. In that case, this Lord or the God being Purusha. Purusha here doesn't mean man as such. Purusha doesn't mean man here, but a being, a principle. And that's why, since those are spoken by or composed by Purusha, so that particular view is called as Vedas are Paurusheya, creation of the God. That is another view about the Vedas. The first view was Vedas are Apaurusheya, not created by even by God. Forget rishis or general human being. Even God has not created them. That particular view is called as Vedas are without beginning and without end and not created by Purusha or even God. So Vedas are Apaurusheya. And this particular Vedas are Apaurusheya. This position is held by the principal philosophical systems of Hindus, so to say. We'll come to it which systems are those. Highly responsible systems, their view is this. Highly responsible in practice, having wider presence, relevance, etc. Some are a bit theoretical in nature. So their view is that God has spoken. And since God is omniscient, he has knowledge of everything. He doesn't have to know anything anew. We come to know anything anew. Something has not happened. If it happens, and when that is informed, or when we go and see, then only we come to know. So our knowledge is generated anew, whereas that is not the case with God. He is all knowing, historical, present and future. Everything is known to him. That being the case, when he speaks, there won't be any fault in it. So that is how the validity of Vedas is established. So Vedas are Paurushaya and Vedas are Paurushaya. Now, when did these rishis hand over those Vedas to the society? So we generally find Vedic period at such. Vedic period. When Ramayana took place, Ramayana happened when Rama was ruling. That time we find some rishis at the time of Rama. Those are mentioned, or we find in Vedas they are having something ascribed to those rishis. Some are even older, and few are bit later. So pre-Ramayana period was Vedic period, we can generally say. Now dating the Ramayana and etc. are open for the historians to debate and decide. So that is Vedic period. However, to say Vedic period also has Western impact. Indian classical view is the world is not created at some day. The classical view is not created at some day out of nothing, and not that it will be into nothingness. World has or involution, and that manifestation and in cyclic. The world is cyclic in nature, and that being the case, in every cycle there are human beings, and these cycles are did not begin at some day. That is also beginningless. That's why the human being also is beginningless. Only the status of human in every yuga, either a better or the worst, etc., that will happen. That is how the and world being evolution and dissolution, that is the concept. So the Darwinian theory or the dates of Vedic period doesn't hold water here in Indian thought system, classical view. So what does classical view about Vedas is studied? What do we see in the Vedas? In Vedas we find worship of gods of natural phenomena. There is lightning, rains, earthquake, some such big natural happening, sunrise, sunset, moon, many stars, etc. These are so many things and many things happening. Sun rises on, or is there any controlling being behind these events? Whether the clouds come by them, they go away by themselves, or there is any controlling being behind that, any conscious principle behind every such act. So here in Vedas we find that these events are ascribed as governed by some conscious principle, some being. As in the cosmos, so in the individual body, our hands, legs, etc., all the organs do have. So individual level or microcosm, it is Pinda, and at macrocosm, so Pinda and Brahman, the microcosm and macrocosm, the principle is the same. The way of analysis is the same. And these events, and they have governing principle behind that. And those are named Indra, Varuna, Vayu, etc. These are the names of the gods, so to say. Now, the question then arises, are they many and independent, or is there any super controller of them? If they are many, yes, they are many, because the actions are many. So those are not controlled by a single person. There are many gods. Those are stated in Vedas. But are they independent? They are not independent. They are appointed by the supreme overlord. There is one overlord or the supreme god, the supreme reality named Brahman. Generally Brahma, and in English it is Brahman, not Brahman. Brahman is the what we say Varna and Ashrama. Brahman is the principle. There is Brahma also, one who has 4 mouths. That Brahma is not meant here. Brahma is different and Brahman is different. So there is one supreme principle, and that supreme principle has these people, or these, to say forces is not good. Forces not conscious. Powers are not conscious. The principles, they are conscious beings. Those are appointed. So Vedas present us the governors of various acts as the as we see in the administrative system in the states. We find central government appoints IAS and IPS officers, and state government also has their own appointment system. From there, some state cadres come up, and some central cadres also are appointed. So here in the world, these are the central cadres. So he has from his side, since the world is governed by him, completely under his governance. So he has appointed these devas. They are named as devas. So those devas are called as Ajana Jana devas, unborn. Ajana Jana means unborn. They are not born that way. And this is how the thought is progressing, that there are natural events. Do they have the governors? Yes, they have the governor. They are separate, but do they have any supreme governor? Yes, they have supreme governor. The question arises, what will be the nature of it? Now, these in Vedas, but Vedas as a book is not a philosophy, because we want to come to a philosophy. What do you mean by philosophy? So Vedas as a book in itself, any part of it or the whole of it, is not a philosophy. Various rishis at different places and different times saw the suktas or the mantras, and they have given to the society, and the collection is Vedas. So it is not by one person, and that's why Vedic thought is not in a like in a sequential manner. It's not a system. Vedic thought in Vedas is not systematically presented. When we go here and there, a person goes at some place, talks to someone, then goes to another place, talks to another person, and there is one person appointed with him, like in the previous days or even presently also. A king goes to various places and he talks, and somebody notes down what he has spoken, what, etc., etc. Everything is noted down. Now, whatever he speaks is not a philosophy at various spoken. Now somebody sits down, studies it, and tries to find out some coherence in the thought, and then he aligns it. This is how the king says. This is very important for the king. This is how he gives less importance, etc., etc. When similar fashion of logic, then it becomes philosophy. Likewise, Vedas themselves are not philosophy, but there came a time that Vedas are to be analyzed, and Vedas was a huge mass present. We have only 9 branches with us. At the time of Patanjali, maybe 3 before this data, or BC or so. That date is also not exact. At the time of Patanjali, Patanjali himself mentions there were 1,000 branches. Out of that, only 9 are present. Even then, the volume is so much. So, if all had been protected till today, it will be a big library. So, that much mass of Vedas. For everyone, it is difficult to study, difficult to study them well, and try to state it in succinct, in terse language. In terse language is sutra form, and that's how did a system. That system is called as darshan or philosophy. And from the Vedas, we find 2 systems coming out. Those systems are directly reading the Vedas, interpreting the Vedas, and while doing this, they have the logical system. System is a philosophy. Even Cārvāka, being so crude in their thought, are philosophy. They may be right, they may be wrong. Any philosophical system, crude or very refined, is a different. But to term some thought system as a philosophy, there are some criteria. They should declare the methods of knowledge, or the of knowledge, and that methods are the valid proofs of. In Sanskrit or in systems, it is called Pramana, the valid source of knowledge. Now, how many are they, and how do you use them is very important thing. So, we have like Cārvāka, Vaiśeṣika, etc., etc. So, there are generally 6 pramanas taken into account. Some conform to some. Like Cārvākas, they just accept pratyaksha pramana. Jaina, Buddha, and Vaiśeṣikas, they accept and Anuman. Nyāya, some school of Nyāya accepts 4 pramanas: pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana, and Shabda. Some school of Mīmāṃsā, they accept 5 pramanas: pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana, Shabda, and Arthapatti. And some part of Mīmāṃsā or Purva Mīmāṃsā, they accept 6 pramanas: pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana, Shabda, Arthapatti, and Anupalabdhi. These are mainly accepted by the philosophers. There are 2 more pramanas, but those are accepted by Sahityikas, the people of literature, and some are accepted by the Pauranikas, those who are scholars of Puranas. But they not being philosophical systems, they will not be taken into philosophical discussion. So, first of all, they have to declare pramanas, the methods or valid source of knowledge. How you get the knowledge? Whatever you say, you want to claim that this is there. How do you come to know? It's a simple question. And how do you say that whatever you have known is correct? So there is pramana, the valid source of knowledge, and validating the knowledge itself. How do you say this knowledge is correct? And if that is not tested, then anybody will say anything, and people will accept the thing, and then it will affect, or there won't be any what you say, conclusion, right conclusion. Anybody will claim anything. That's why everybody has to lay down the methods of knowledge, and then they have to say something why their whatever their conclusion is, whatever knowledge they have is correct. And that's why Prāmāṇyavāda is the discussion about the validity of knowledge. So there are books on that, big volumes, difficult books in philosophical system about Pramanam. And there are two views about the validity of knowledge. One is the knowledge in itself is proof that it is correct or not, and external aid is necessary to prove that this knowledge is correct or not. Like, suppose I am walking on the bank of a river, somewhere there is some sand, and in the sand I see the mother of pearl, Shukti, mother of pearl, and it appears, it glitters, and that's why I feel it's maybe there may be silver, and I get attracted and I go, and when I go near, I find no, it's not silver, it's that mother of pearl, that Shukti. And at that moment I come to know that the knowledge which I had from distance is proven wrong when I have approached and picked up the thing. So in this case we find that initial knowledge, though I accepted as valid knowledge, and I accepted as valid knowledge, it is proven from the fact that I went towards the Shukti, that mother of, at the outset I had considered the knowledge to be correct. Without that knowledge I did not have gone to pick that thing up. So now natural, and when I went and saw and tested that thing, when I came to know that that is not actually silver but it's mother of pearl, I had to accept the initial knowledge was not correct. And in that case, this particular example, my knowledge is, initial knowledge is proven as wrong, erroneous, and this particular method of testing knowledge is from the external means. I had to go, approach, test at somewhere else, and then come back and say that initial knowledge was not right, there was some error in it. So this is called as paratah pramanya, the validation from outside. There is swatah pramanya, validation from inside. So these are two ways of validity of knowledge. Is have to state the pramanas. Without pramanas, the source of knowledge in sciences, we should have addition, multiplication means this thing, square means that thing, brackets means that thing, etc. So all the rules of derivation are stated, and once the rules are stated, there is assigned to those variables and the results. So the rules are to be declared, the formulas are to be and process and get the outcome. So in that case, what happens is, when the rules and the form are correct, and when we present that data to it, whatever is the outcome becomes, we have to accept, we do not have any other way out. Even Cārvākas have these things declared, but any such thing. Vedas do not present this particular Pramanam. Vedas not present a unified outcome through the processed. Now, since Vedas are the outcome of the vision at higher states of mind, samadhi, etc., and there is presented. So, to say that thought out system presented in a very logical fashion, etc., is accepted. However, the scholar studied it and then they have presented the system. That's how the philosophies have come into existence, evolved, is or how we term something to be a philosophy. Like suppose Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, many people came to him, talked to him, and he answered the queries and questions about was asked to him. And there was one person, Mahendranath Gupta. As and when he was present there during the talk, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said, and he has presented a book, Ramakrishna Kathamrit, Gospel of Ramakrishna. So naturally, everything comes into. Later on, they separated it, like they study of nature, external world, study of body. So these are four general categories, and then in the study of external world, physics, chemistry, etc., came in. Study of the body, then the biology, etc., medical sciences, etc., came in. The mind and its functions, etc., then psychologies came in, and to study the higher nature of the soul, etc., etc., philosophies came in. And then philosophies have like some parts, but initially it was love of knowledge, but now anything which we love to know, but that doesn't make a philosophy. So later on they have made their zone smaller. But in Indian thing, we do not call our Indian philosophies as philosophy. We call it Darshana, Bhāratīya Darśana. Bharatiya means that which has originated in the Indian subcontinent. And Darshana means will give you the vision which it claims. The method to experience. That is Darshana. Or that is the method through which they experienced and presented. So that is Darshana. So Darshana word has four meanings. Out of that, we take one. This is Indian Bharatiya Darshana, Indian philosophy. Now, what actually do these philosophies handle? What is their subject matter? Why at all they came? What is the central focus? How do they pertain to us, relate to us, is the question. Or just some people felt like, okay, it is called as Kakadanta Gaveshana in Sanskrit. Kakadanta Gaveshana means crows are flying, and somebody felt like how many teeth can be there. So let us catch a crow and try counting. What is the use of that? So it is useless endeavor. So is it Kakadanta Gaveshana any useless endeavor? No, it's not useless endeavor. Why did at all they went for philosophy? So the first question is, what do you want? What does a human being want? That is the first question. So that should be analyzed. So they analyzed it. If anything which is not necessary, which we do not want, why bother your head on that? That's why they first ask, what do we want? So there are two answers to it. What do we want? One is, I want happiness. I want to be happy. And there is no exception to this particular thing. Everybody wants to be happy. We won't find any exception, even by mistake. No, there is no exception to this. So they analyzed, yes, everybody wants happiness. Now, that being the case, we have to analyze what is the cause of happiness. That comes the next question. But as I said, there were two things. What does one want? Everybody wants happiness. Everybody wants to be happy. Second thing is, if I am in some unhappiness, there can be a neutral state, there can be happy state, or there can be a sorrowful state. Sorrowful or sad or unhappy state, neutral state, and happy state. So if somebody is in a sorrowful state, in an unhappy state, then he feels to get rid of that unhappy state, that sorrow, and then at least be neutral or be happy. So this sorrow or pain, etc., is called dukkha. So they want to get rid of that dukkha, the pain, the sorrow. But those who do not have any sorrow or pain, no dukkha, so they will not attempt for doing it away. So the second case comes only when somebody is unhappy. If somebody is not unhappy, that is not coming in the context, not coming in the view. So what we find is two desires are prominent. I should be happy, and if there is any unhappiness, I want to get rid of the unhappiness. And now the next question is, what makes me happy and what makes me unhappy? And if the solution is at hand, why go to philosophies, or whether philosophies have what you say taken a turn which is highly impractical and highly theoretical, or what? So the analysis is, I want to be happy and get rid of unhappiness. Suppose we will for the time being keep away the I want to be happy part. I want to get rid of the unhappiness, the sorrow, the dukkha's. So how many dukkha's are there? Then they classified it. There are three dukkha's: adhibhautika, adhidaivika, and adhyatmika. This is how they are named. Adhibhautika, adhyatmika, and adhidaivika. Adhidaivika is the forces of nature. Suppose there is earthquake, torrential rain, floods, storm, etc. These are some big natural events which may cause sorrow, which may cause pain, and that is called as adhidaivika. Then adhibhautika, if there are dogs, now we hear the cases of dog biting, the what you say, the dogs which are on the streets, stray dogs, they are biting, and many people are getting killed or injured, so many things. So there are some such bhutas, dogs, tigers, snakes, etc., etc., and they are also cause of sorrow, pain, death. So that is second type of source of dukkha. Third is, there are some diseases inside, physical or mental, whatever, but those are from inside our system, not from outside, and those are adhyatmika dukkha. So adhibhautik, adhidaivik, and adhyatmik, three types of dukkha's, and some details into it. Now there are systems for that. If you have torrential rains, build a house, have a roof, walls, nice protection, you will be saved. Earthquake proof home, so you will not have to face the situation like which we saw in Turkey. So that will not be the case. You should have houses like Japan. So, but then that is one solution. Yes, go for it. That can solve the problems to a great extent. Animals have boundaries. Don't allow them to come near. If they come, have a system, rifles, etc., etc., and kill them or whatever. Some solution can be proposed, which is feasible, practical, according to constitution, according to various rights activists, etc. So we are not into it, but some solution can be provided. So you can avoid that thing, and for the physical or mental diseases, you have medical sciences. So they solve your problem. So there are systems in place which solve your problem. So looking at the solutions at hand, there is no need for philosophy. But the philosophies want to say, when you solve a problem, how do you solve a problem? We want to solve the problem once and for all. That is first test. If suppose there is any medicine or any vaccination which tells me that you will not have any disease in future, so naturally I will jump to it. I will have it. And people are trying for any such universal vaccine. Can there be a universal vaccine which will, if any virus comes, it can act? If even for suppose like aging, there are some attempts, there should not be any aging. No aging should take place. So various attempts are there. There are in English some words, ambrosia, like nectar, amrit. So if you have that ambrosia or nectar, you will be deathless. No disease will torture you. You will not die. So nothing will affect you, sort of. So these are the concepts. If there is any solution at hand which tells me or which gives me an assurance that you will not have any sorrow in future, your sorrows or probability of pain, etc., will be removed once and for all. So naturally, I want it if it works. Second thing is, the solution provided should be accurate. Once it is applied, it should work. We go to a doctor, conduct some tests, they prescribe some medicines, we take medicines. Many times we are not cured, sometimes we are cured, etc., etc. So there is, if the theory is correct, then the effect should be there, but we see that is not happening. So these are two difficulties with these solutions, that they do not solve the problem once and for all, and the solutions are not accurate. These two problems are stated as the solution should be atyantika. It should solve the problem once and for all, and it should not. It should be accurate. So it should be a aikantika, what we call Ramban in Hindi. Ramban. Ramban means Rama's arrow. When he shoots it, it does its job every time without fail. That is Ramban. So that medicine should be, or any solution should be Ramban. And that being not the case, we should go for further solution. The solutions which we have presented now, that we should have fences, house, medical sciences, medicines and doctors in place, so that whenever we have sorrows or pain, we can avoid most of them, or if there is anything, we can get rid of after we come across any such thing. That being the case, why should we go for philosophy? So philosophy has this particular thought in mind. The solutions have these two problems, and that's why we propose a better solution, and that better solution is provided by philosophy, and that's where the things come in. That's why philosophy comes in. And this is how the philosophy is connected to us. Everybody wants to be happy. One, everybody, if in pain or unhappiness, he wants to get rid of it. Third thing is, I don't want my destruction. Nobody should tell me that you will be destroyed at some day. No, that is not acceptable to me. So we have here, everybody wants to be eternal. I should not die. There should not be any end to me. Everlasting existence. The very thought that I will be destroyed, there won't be anything further, is fearful. So I should be happy. I should be happy forever. And one more word should be added. I should be conscious that I am happy forever. Three things are there. If there is, like, sweets are there in the nearby room, and I do not know, so what's the use of it? There is happiness, but I do not know. So I should enjoy the happiness. Enjoy means I should experience the happiness. So I should know the happiness. So I should be conscious of it. I should be happy, and I should not die. I should be ever existent. These are the three things. And that's why we come to three words: Sat, Chit and Ananda. We come to this. This is the basic demand. Now whether philosophies have paid attention to this particular desire, whether they have solved it in the manner in which it was expected, whether they digressed it, whether they nullified all the demands or whatever, that is to be taken up. But we are analyzing how the philosophies have taken up the issue and discussed. Now, here we come to know that this is our basic desire. While analyzing the problem, this is our desire. And the philosophies tell us, accepting there are two philosophies, Orthodox and Heterodox. The Orthodox philosophies, all the Orthodox philosophies almost agree to the thing that you do not have any destruction. You will not die. This particular body is not you, etc. So, first thing they tell us that you do not have any destruction, and you will be, whether you will be happy in the final state which is proposed or not is a different question. Various philosophies have various views, but you will not be unhappy. That is for sure. The minimum boundary provided by everyone is you will not be unhappy. Second thing, you will be happy at some sphere of existence, or whether in your nature or whatever, you will be happy. That is second level of thing provided. And third thing is you will not be destroyed. That is also given. So these philosophies are graded according to that. So this is the solution. You will not be unhappy. Now the question arises that what makes me happy and unhappy? If that is not analyzed, then the systems will not be presented properly. So this being the basic question, it should be attended in that particular fashion. Now here everybody takes up some action and he expects some result from that action. Some results are immediate and some results will be in future. If there is no thought or no assurance that there will be any future result, then nobody will plan. Even we go to schools, study with the plan that I will have knowledge, whatever I have studied will be retained, I will be a knowledgeable person, skillful person, and by my knowledge and skill I may get a job, I may earn money, I will spend that money for my happiness, and etc, etc. So there is long plan and accordingly we act. So naturally we assume that my present actions will have some results in future. We cannot do away with this. If that is not accepted, then what to do? And every system will collapse, or there will be some new system. Immediate results, only immediate results will be taken care of. No thought of future, no thought of tomorrow, no thought of long-term results, etc. So things will be completely in a disarray, or like animals. They do not have, in a way, such a well thought system. They too bring some food and keep and etc, etc, or they have nests, some place to rest, etc. Is they plan. They, when they have some progeny, then they have nests, arrangements are done. So we find they too plan for future, but it is not so thoughtful system, bare minimum. So it's not so pronounced, so to say, it's not philosophized. And that's how we differ from animals. They have their experience with them. One animal having, or any animal, or what you say, the birds, etc, that experience they accumulate and somehow they train their new generations to some extent, and then they live. They do not have books, they do not have schools, they have not philosophies, no systems, so they do not accumulate their knowledge. Here we have differed. We have accumulated experiences, we have reason, and we through our faculty to reason, we have tried to refine it That's how we are different from them. So if there is some result of our action which will come in future, then here comes the law of causation. There is some cause. If the cause is sufficient to produce the result, then the result must come. Now suppose there is a person who has done so much work, so many actions, and he dies all of a sudden. What will happen to those causes which he has, or the works he has done, deeds he has done? If he has died and he is reduced to just some ash, nothing is left after the body, just he is reduced to ash. If it is considered that nothing leaves the body, there is no transmigratory soul in the body, if that is assumed, then this law of causation collapses. What will happen to that? Those causes which he has, those karmas which he has done, what will happen to them? So law of karma collapses, and that's why there are many reasons. One of them I am just bringing it up. So that is why we have to accept that even after the body dies, something persists, something endures, something which is not body, beyond the body, which continues. And the karma or the works, deeds he did, they will have fruition. They will bear the fruits, and those fruits will be enjoyed by that being, that Jīva, transmigratory soul, in the future existences. His future existence will depend on that particular thing. Now, the thing is, in the Vedas, as we find, there is a concept of Rita, the universal laws governing the universal behavior, the inanimate and animate objects. How do they interact? How do they behave? And those rules, universal or individual, those come under the term Rita. There are some rules. According to them, the universe runs. That is Rita. Now that Rita at the individual level also is now coming, and that is taking finer views. General view, and now we are taking it to finer level. Now the Jīva continues further. About that, in Indian philosophies, one philosophy doesn't accept this, all others accept. So in general, we can take for granted that we are discussing philosophies in general and the problems they counter. So they counter this problem. Law of causation is there, and when there is cause, if we do not accept any continuation from the body, then the law of causation is disrupted. We cannot accept such disruption, because in other spheres it works well. Here also it should work well. Even it goes against science also, that there are causes, and the causes all of a sudden came to be nil. So what will happen? That cannot be. So its law of conservation also is at stake. Law of conservation of energy, etc., is at stake in that case. That is why there is something which is beyond the body, and this thing which is beyond the body, it has its nature. It goes to further bodies, and this karma or the deeds he has done, they have some residual effect. That residual effect will give him the results. Now naturally, coming into details, such deeds which are good will give him good results, and which are bad will give him bad results. How will it happen? If suppose I make few beings happy, if I rearrange the stones here and there and nobody becomes happy, that karma is useless. It has no effect on anyone. So such karma which is actually making someone happy or unhappy, that will have bearing on me. I am in a forest or in the stone mine and carrying some 10 stones every day from this end to that end, and next day from this end to that end, affecting none, some such karma is useless. It has no bearing. But if I am affecting some being, if I am making some being happy or unhappy, such karma will have some effect in future. And what will that be? If I have made somebody happy, I will be happy in future. And if I have caused unhappiness to someone, I will have to be unhappy in future. And the amount of happiness I have caused to someone, I will also have some such happiness in the similar proportion. So not that if I have made somebody happy, I will be happy. I will be happy in proportion. That is also important. So the law of proportion and law of causation is to be taken up here. And this being analyzed, if I want to be always happy, happiness is such a thing in the general understanding that I begin to be happy at some time, and after some time that particular cycle ends. I am not happy. If I eat some sweet rasgulla, so when I see it, I am little bit happy. Yes, I have it. When I eat one rasgulla, I am further happy. And when I have swallowed it, till I take next one, there is some wave down. And when next one is taken in, the wave goes up. My happiness goes up. So what I want to say from this is, happiness has beginning and end, or ups and downs. It is not a continuous line, y is equal to 1 or y is equal to some constant. It's not a horizontal line. So that being the case, the happiness must have some cause, and that cause certainly is not permanent. It is also having some quanta. It has quantity and degree. Depending on that, it is making me happy. And that's why as much karma I do, so much will be the happiness to me. So happiness is not permanent. I have to invest on happiness. And that is how now from here the ethics and moral, etc., these things come in. That is how the philosophies have to discuss this topic also. That is part of the philosophy. In Western philosophies, the ethics and aesthetics, etc., etymology and study of nature, these are separate topics altogether. In Indian philosophies, we do not have separate schools for that. Everything is discussed in a synthetic manner. So I have to accept that happiness being not permanent in nature, its cause also is not permanent in nature, and I have to ascertain the cause, then only I will be happy. And for that I have to invest, I have to work. And that is how the law of karma comes into existence. So Indian philosophies, excepting one, all have this law of karma accepted with some variation, little bit here and there. So law of karma has come in. So what we see is, the problem of life is taken up, it is analyzed, and the philosophies are trying to present solution to it. And the solution is, it should be Ramban and forever. That is the approach. And if we do not take recourse to the philosophies, then we miss these solutions. These are the solutions, they work. Now which of them really works and not, etc., is again a matter of debate and discussion. But these are the solutions, those are practiced, and those they solve the problem. That is how the statement is, and that is how the systems, the philosophies are connected to us. What I wanted to present throughout this particular part, that whether philosophies solve our problem, whether they relate to us or not. They very much relate to us. If we do not take philosophy into account, and if we go to the modern sciences, they will tell that you began with the birth, and you will end when you die. The body becomes unconscious or brain death, and that is the only two walls where between you are there. You are neither before, you are neither after that. So now you plan your life. So we have to assume this particular postulate, and accordingly we have to plan our life. But philosophies tell us that that is not the case. You will be there after the death, and you will continue. If you survive one death, you will survive every death, and your existence is forever. Only bodies will come and go, but you will nonetheless take new bodies, and you are not the body. You will continue to take the new bodies, and in that case you should plan very well. Now this is the difficulty we face if we do not come to philosophy. If you do not take recourse to any philosophy, then we are in the hands of this particular thought system, that there is, up at death you are finished, there is nothing beyond that. That is the difficulty. Now whether the solution is correct or not, it is to be analyzed and thought out, but what it proposes is this. So much is the importance. That's why philosophy is the first topic which is to be taken up, because it is discussing the entire gamut of our existence. It's not discussing just one life. It discusses the real nature, all the lives together, and effect of our actions or whatever, thought, actions, whether we should go for actions or we should not go for actions, or if we should go for some actions, then which one to be taken up, which are to be shunned, etc. That is all comes in the area of philosophy. As we exist in this world, this is one sphere of existence. Can there be any other sphere of existence? If I am there, this world is there, on that basis I can very well assume that there can be some sphere of existence. If I say that I am the only sphere and we only exist and there is nothing beyond, it will be like this is the last last messenger and nobody after that, sort of thing. So that there is no logic supporting this. If I am there and there is some sphere, there can be something like this. So this also comes in the sphere of philosophy. So the topic that how the philosophies relate to us, whether they are having any bearing to us, any importance to us, is this. Now since this is general introduction, we will try to see the divisions of the philosophies, how the philosophies are divided. Indian philosophies are broadly divided into two main categories: orthodox and heterodox. Orthodox are called as astika and heterodox are called as nastika. Now what is this astika and nastika, or orthodox and heterodox system? The philosophy which accepts that Vedas are valid source of knowledge. The philosophy which accepts that Vedas are valid source of knowledge, or source of valid knowledge, whatever we come to know from Vedas is correct, or Vedas give us correct knowledge, or they are correct, Vedas are correct. Whatever you put it, the sum and substance is the same. So those who accept this, those are astikas, orthodox systems, dependent on Vedas. Whether they really depend or not, we will discuss. But they at least give consent that yes, we accept Vedas to be valid. And heterodox systems are, they do not accept the authority of Vedas. They do not accept that Vedas give correct knowledge. They may have derived many things from Vedas, directly or indirectly. They must have copied also, But they do not say that we accept Vedas as our religious or philosophical source book. That's why they become orthodox, heterodox. Generally, Astika and Nastika in the general parlance means those who accept existence of God, any such faculty which is governing the world or whatever, whatever way they define. So those who accepts God, they are Astika in general parlance, and those who do not accept God are Nastika, that is general parlance. But in the strict philosophical sense, in the Indian system of philosophies, this particular thought that those who accept God are Astikas and those who do not accept God, they are Nastikas, is not correct. And that not correct means that should be outrightly rejected, because in there are 6 orthodox systems in Indian philosophical systems. Out of this 2, there is orthodox, and orthodox is broadly classified into 6 systems: Nyāya, Vaiśeṣika, Sāṃkhya Yoga, and Purva Mīmāṃsā, Uttara Mīmāṃsā. These are the 6 orthodox systems. Nyāya, Vaiśeṣika, these are sister systems, so to say. They have so much of similarity. Nyāya, Vaiśeṣika, they began separately. Later on, they got merged into one. Now they do not have separate existence. So that's why Nyāya, Vaiśeṣika. Sāṃkhya, Yoga, these are 2 sister systems, so to say. Sankhya is the theoretical part, yoga is the practical part. So that is how Sankhya Yoga are together generally taken. And Purva Mīmāṃsā, Uttara Mīmāṃsā. This Purva Mīmāṃsā is named as Mīmāṃsā in general. The correct name is Purva Mīmāṃsā, but in general parlance Mīmāṃsā. And Uttara Mīmāṃsā is named as Vedanta. When we say Purva Mīmāṃsā, Uttara Mīmāṃsā, so Uttara Mīmāṃsā is Vedanta. So now to say that which are those 2 systems is Mīmāṃsā and Vedanta. That is how it can be said. So these are the 6 systems of philosophy, orthodox philosophical system. Out of these 6 systems, the Sankhyas do not accept God. Sankhyas do not accept God. And the Purva Mīmāṃsakas or the Mīmāṃsakas, they do not accept any God as the governor of the world. This is very important. If suppose Sankhyas do not accept, that doesn't affect much. But when the Mīmāṃsakas, they say that there is no necessity of accepting any God as such, it has huge impact, because they have huge presence in the, what you say, impact is like any political party, whether what they say and do, whether it has impact or not. If they have any followers and if they have any power in hand, if there is no followers, no power in hand, they can say anything. What is the impact of that? No impact. So impact is whether they have any bearing and following in the society or not. That is very important. And this Purva Mīmāṃsakas or Mīmāṃsakas being the very important philosophy, having wide presence in the society, wide bearing in the society, but they do not accept any God. So in the orthodox systems, those who accept Vedas to be the valid source of knowledge or the authority of Vedas, they accept. Even then, out of 6, 2 systems do not accept God. So the criteria that whether the acceptance of God or denial of existence of God makes somebody astic or nastic is not the criteria. This should be very clearly noted. Now, the what you say, heterodox systems. Generally, we say 3 heterodox systems are there: Nastika darshanas, Cārvāka, Jaina, and Bauddha. But actually, Bauddha is not one philosophy. They are 4, in fact. Madhyamika, Yogachara, Sautrantika, and Vaibhashika. Madhyamika, Yogachara, Sautrantika, and Vaibhashika. These are the 4 independent philosophies. But since they have Buddha as their source, or the Tripitakas as their source, etc., etc. That's why, like, our systems also have Vedas as source. How much they refer to Vedas is a different question. Systems are different, but they nonetheless have the Vedas as a source. Likewise, all four Buddhist philosophical systems have source what Buddha has given. That's why those will be called as Buddhist philosophies, but those are four in number. That's why Cārvāka, Jaina, and four Buddhist philosophies taken together, they also come to be six. And that's why six heterodox systems and six orthodox systems, we have 12 philosophies in all. In the Vedanta also, we have independent philosophies, but this is more or less widely accepted view. There are, as if we go to a book written by one who wrote Panchadashi, Vidyaranya, around 1500 or so. So he has composed a book, Sarva-darśana-samgraha. The name of the book is Sarva-darśana-samgraha. All the darshanas together. So all the darshanas which he came across during his time, naturally, because though that time Muslims were there, even the Christians were there, maybe in very small numbers, but they were there, but he did not take note of them. He did not mention them. So I don't know how that happened, but in the Sarva-darśana-samgraha, we do not see just 12 darshanas. There are many other darshanas he has taken up. Vyakarana has darshana, Sahitya has darshana, and many such systems have darshanas, and he has taken up. Not all the darshanas deal the same problem, but they are nonetheless booked in the, or the, he has given them separate place in the Sarva-darśana-samgraha. So that is one, in a way, first book which compiles the darshanas together. Before that, we do not get it. There is one Samuchaya by some Jain Muni, but that is later work. That is also in Sanskrit. But first one is Sarva-darśana-samgraha by Vidyaranya. Before Vidyaranya, there is no some such book easily available or seen or famous, which takes all the darshanas together and compiles them in separate chapters. So these are the 12 darshanas. When did they begin, and who brought them forth? Like Cārvāka, this is general introduction. So Cārvāka is a philosophy given by Brihaspati. It has its history. When we take up Cārvāka tomorrow, we'll take into it. Brihaspati is generally considered as the person who has given this darshana to confuse some people. it is to confuse. That is one thing. Some say there was some Cārvāka person who has proposed this thing, or the word Cārvāka is Charu Vak. Charu means beautiful, attractive, and Vak means the sayings. Those who speak attractive things, very palatable, easy, materialistic things. So what is that materialistic thing is Yavat Jivet Sukham Jivet, be happy lifelong, but to be happy you need some money. So Rinam Kritva Gritam Pibet, even if you go for what you say, date, etc., better don't worry. So these are some sweet languages, palatable, many people go for it. That is why this is Charu Vak, attractive language, and that's why that darshana is called as Cārvāka. When did it originate is not the question. It is called Lokayata. It is prevalent. Lokayata means it is prevalent in the society. If the person doesn't take recourse to any refined philosophy, he is by nature Cārvāka. So they do not want to, they do not have to convert anyone to their system. Just those people who do not go to any philosophy, they are Cārvākas somehow. Whether they are that so much refined Cārvākas or not is a different case. But Charvakas. So that is how they begin. So to state that some person someday started, it's difficult to say. It's lokayata, it's prevalent in the society. Bauddha Darshana. So Bauddha Darshan, it did not begin with Bhagwan Buddha. Bhagwan Buddha at various places spoke many things, and generally whatever he said is booked into 3 books, 3 pitakas, but he did not as such begin those darshanas. These darshanas are later developments by various scholars. We'll come to it later. So these 4 darshanas of Bauddhas are not actually written or given by Buddha as darshanas. Like suppose I'll give you one example, like Vedanta is a darshan. What is Vedanta? Vedanta word means the last portion of Vedas, that is called Upanishad. But Upanishad as such is not darshan. Vyasa, Badarayana Vyasa took those Upanishads, rearranged that thought system and presented in the sutra form, 555 sutras. So his book is Vedanta Darshan, whereas the Upanishads is just Vedanta, not Darshan, because Upanishads are not systematized, whereas those are systematized by Vyasa and presented in a book form, sutra form. Whether sutra or short or long, that is not the case. It is not necessary that darshana should be in the sutra form and in some very terse language and any such thing. That's not the necessity. It can be elaborate language also, but it should be systematized. So that's why whatever given by Vyasadeva, that is called Brahma Sutra, Shariraka Sutra, or Vedanta Sutra, that is Vedanta Darshan as such. Whereas Upanishads are not Darshan, they are just Vedanta. Likewise, what Buddha said is not darshan. These are the utterances, but later people took those things and then philosophized. That's how the 4 darshanas of Buddhas came into existence. And Jainas have 2 sampradaya. The sampradaya is the not philosophical, the what you say, the Guru Shishya Parampara sort of thing. The tradition of Guru Shishya, some practices handing from one person to the next generation, handing over, that is Sampradaya. So they have Digambara and Shwetambar, but those are not 2 darshanas, those are Sampradayas. And Jaina philosophy is one, and it began with Mahavir. Later people have added to it, but somehow it began with Mahavir. And Buddha and Mahavir were almost contemporary, little bit difference here and there. Who preceded and who succeeded, very, very difficult to state, but they were in the some near times. That is how the period or the originators of the philosophy. When we come to Nyāya, Astic Darshanas Nyāya, Maharshi Gautama wrote Nyāya Sutra, and those Nyāya Sutras form the basis of Nyāya system. From that, the Nyāya system of philosophy has begun. Maharshi Kanad wrote Vaiśeṣika Sutras, and his book becomes the basis for the Vaiśeṣika philosophy. So the person, the book, how they originated, or whether, now the question is again very important, whether these people were the first persons to begin the philosophy, or they were at some such very important juncture that the existing thought, which was not presented in a very philosophical manner, they systematized it. Because any person, when, like suppose Vyasadeva, when he is presenting the Brahma Sutras, he has so much of groundwork already done by many people, many books before him, many systems before him, many scholars before him, but he studies them and then he comes to give this particular system. So the Brahma Sutra or the Vedanta Darshan, is it the beginning of Vedanta Darshan or Vedanta, or is it a prominent phase, he had already so much material and so much history behind him, and from that he has presented a unified system. So it is difficult to say that he originated it or he began it. He reorganized, he properly presented it. That much if said, it will be nice. Likewise, Kanada or Gautama, when they presented the system, are they the first persons to know those things? Nobody knew those things before them. They came to know, they did not came to know from previous people. They themselves invented it. Like in the science, we say that this particular rule is invented, or law is, or this fact is invented by this person, that person, and nobody knew. No, it was not stated anywhere. Some science discoveries go that way. So did Gautama discover all those things, or he just presented in a very refined manner? So generally the acceptance, general acceptance goes by that they refined it, they presented in a very systematic manner. Likewise, Yoga Sutras by Patanjali, we have these sutras are available. Only the Kapila Sutras or the Sankhya Sutras are not available. All other system sutras are available, and all are sutra, so to say. Somehow there came a time they had a mind to present in a very sutra form, very terse language, using the least words. So Yoga Sutras written by Patanjali, those are available, and that is what we call Ashtanga Yoga, etc. So those are there. So Patanjali wrote them down. So should we say that Patanjali is the first person to invent all those things? Nothing existed before that, and then he has given, no, it can't be said. Those were there before. In various books also we find some roots here and there. He has taken, studied, or what you say, joined few things by because he was a big authority on the topic. So he himself must have added few things. Likewise, it is difficult to analyze now which he copied from the previous books, from which sources he took, because not all the sources are available to us now. So that is shrouded in the mystery. But it can be very well conjectured that there were many things available to him. Likewise, Kapila. Kapila is stated to be a born Jnani, and he is stated in Vedas itself that he is born Jnani, and he has given Sankhya Sutras. Sankhya Sutras are not available. Somebody has tried to get those Sankhya Sutras, that these are the ones, but those are later. Somebody has written that book a bit later. So most of the scholars do not accept the present Sankhya Sutras as the original work of Kapila. But some Sankhya Sutras are mentioned by some authors here and there. So from there we come to know there were some Sankhya Sutras. And Kapila is the first philosopher in the Indian system. Kapila is the first philosopher. All the systems owe something to him. They are benefited or affected from by the system of Kapila. Then we come to Purva Mīmāṃsā or Mīmāṃsā. Purva Mīmāṃsā or Mīmāṃsā begins difficult to say with, but systematized by Jaimini. The name of the person is Jaimini. He wrote a book, Dvadasha Lakshani. It has 16 chapters, but 12 are most important, and that's why those 12 chapters taken into account, that book is named as Dvadasha Lakshani, or it is also named as Dharma Sutra. He wrote that book in a sutra form again, and that book becomes the basis of further Purva Mīmāṃsā philosophical discussions. Whatever discussion before Jaimini is also like, because Vedas are the basis of Purva Mīmāṃsā. That's why even people, while discussing Purva Mīmāṃsā, they refer to the Vedas, the original works also, no doubt. But the Purva Mīmāṃsā philosophy centers around the book written by Jaimini, Dvadasha Lakshani. When we come to Vedanta, the source book, the books from which the Vedanta Darshan is derived is Upanishads mainly, Vedas in general, and Puranas, etc. also, may be taken, because it is Bhagavan Vyas who has written Puranas. Whether he wrote Puranas before or Brahma Sutra before is difficult to know. So we can't say which one went which way. So Brahma Sutra is the book written by Vyasa. And that is called as Brahma Sutra, Shariraka Sutra, Vedanta Sutra, or Vedanta Darshan. And the present Vedanta systems, there are now 8 prevalent Vedanta systems in India, also called as Darshanas, but they all somehow refer to the book by Vyasa as the source book. So Brahma Sutra by Vyasa is another source. So this is in a way general survey of the source books and persons who have written them. Now, what topic do they take up? What issue they took up is we have discussed. What was the issue? Issue was related to the needs, basic needs, and that basic needs, like they have very nicely classified: desire to be happy and desire to get rid of the unhappiness. That's how they relate to us, and they have provided a solution. While providing which topics they generally discuss, the topics are whether they accept or reject, but they have to discuss. To reject also, they have to take into account that I have to discard this particular viewpoint of others. So they discuss it. That is the nature of the soul, Jīva. Then this Jagat, the world, universe, Jīva, Jagat, and one who governs the world, Jagadīśa or Jagannath. So these are 3 J's very important here: Jīva, Jagat, and Jagadīśa. So these 3 are taken into account, their correlation, their interaction. Now, how do they go? First of all, ascertain the nature of these things. How do they operate? The laws of operation. And when laws of operation are known to us, how to use those laws in your favor to get what you want. So the system of executing the laws or using the laws, deriving the patterns or behaviors, thought systems, actions, etc., by which we can achieve the goal which we have in our mind. So the logical analysis of these things, their relations, correlations, operations, and deriving the what we call practices, achara, to get what we want. This is what the philosophy generally discuss. I think we will give some time for question and answers. So we'll freeze the topic here. We'll take up few points. There are some common points. At some tomorrow or somewhere we'll take up those and discuss some common points are left out. So if you have any questions, you are welcome.
Swamiji, I had a question. Since you mentioned that the writers or the philosophers who compiled or introduced basically compiled an introduction to these darshanas have not taken into account the, let's say, Islamic religion or the Christianity. In the light of these philosophies, how do we classify these 2 religions?
Heterodox.
Heterodox.
First of all, they do not have philosophies.
Yes.
They do not qualify to be a philosophy. We have not heard Islamic philosophy. We do not have heard Christian philosophy. They are theologies. So as I said, Vedas are in a way theology, but Uttar Mīmāṃsā or Purva Mīmāṃsā is a philosophy. Vedas themselves do not qualify to be a philosophy. Utterances of Buddhas themselves do not qualify to be a philosophy. when those are rearranged and systematically presented in a logical fashion and the methods of knowledge, etc., all the parameters intact, whether this system is correct or not is a different case, but it should be presented in that manner. Like suppose today's science, somebody say Big Bang. Now later on they have proved that that is not correct, because the date which they have given is 250 billion years, etc. But some dates prove that 15 billion years, etc. is also the some objects are found that they have larger life than what Big Bang says. So they discarded that theory. But on the basis of science and mathematical calculations, some section of scientists presented Big Bang. That was wrong. So whether it is wrong or right is a different question, but they followed some school of thought or derivation, and then they presented. That's how we do not come across the system of analysis as according to Christians or Muslims. That's why uh, Islam as such in itself, like Quran or Hadith, etc., cannot qualify to be a philosophy, or the Bible itself, Old or New Testament, cannot qualify to be philosophy. If somebody has studied and presented it in a different manner, in a logical manner, then that book will qualify to be a philosophy, but these books will not qualify. But even after that, there are no attempts at such. I do not know, as much I have heard. Some Christian fathers or some scholars have tried to present some Christian philosophy in the light of modern Western philosophies, but that is not mainstream, that is not affecting the Christians, some scholars views. So that's all, they remain. Those are not mainstream discussions, that's why they are in corner. But that's likewise Islam also doesn't seem to have any such philosophical derivational system and organized thought system. So to call them heterodox is also, they do not qualify them there.
स्वामी जी नमस्कार। मैं पूछना चाह रही थी, जैसे फिलॉसफी ऐसा नहीं होता है क्या कि व्यक्तिगत विषय भी हो, मतलब इसमें थोड़ी आत्मनिष्ठता होती है क्या कि मैं अपने अनुसार अपने कुछ नियमों को मतलब मोल्ड कर सकूं, या फिर मतलब ऐसा नहीं है, नीति शास्त्र के अनुसार उनको मैं थोड़ा मतलब इसमें आत्मनिष्ठता होती है या नहीं, मैं इसे अपने अनुसार परिभाषित कर सकती हूँ या नहीं? ऐसा ही तो सारे
क्या
सब
है कि
जी जी सर।
ऐसा है कि दो प्रकार के सिस्टम्स हमें दिखती है, एक पुरुष तंत्र या और एक है वस्तु तंत्र।
जी सर।
पुरुष तंत्र मतलब मैं मेरी सुविधा के अनुसार, मेरे मान्यताओं के अनुसार मैंने मेरा एक विश्व बना लिया है, ऐसा हम संक्षेप से कह सकते हैं, और मुझे उसमें रहना है, मेरे लिए वो ठीक है, दूसरों के लिए वो कहाँ तक सही है नहीं है उससे मुझे कुछ लेना देना नहीं। और जो वस्तु तंत्र होता है, तो सामने दिखने वाला पत्थर है तो पत्थर ही है सबके लिए, ऑब्जेक्टिविटी उसमें एक के लिए नहीं, सबके लिए वो वही है। तो वैसी जो चीज है, जो वस्तुनिष्ठ ऑब्जेक्टिविटी जो होती है, तो उसमें हमारी अपनी मान्यताओं के लिए कोई स्थान नहीं है। हमें वो लॉजिकल पैटर्न में डाल करके एनालाइज करके उसको लेना पड़ता है। और ये ऑब्जेक्टिव सिस्टम जो है वस्तु तंत्र, सभी फिलोसॉफीज वस्तु तंत्र ही होती है। केवल एक जन की मान्यताएं सबके लिए थोपी नहीं जा सकती, नहीं तो वो फिलोसॉफी नाम ही नहीं रहेगा उसको। वो तो एक थियोलॉजी नाम दो या फिर डॉगमास नाम देना पड़ेगा। कि किसी ने बोल दिया कि कुत्ते को छूना बड़ा ही अपवित्र होता है, पता नहीं इसकी कोई ऑब्जेक्टिविटी है कि नहीं, साइंस के द्वारा भी कोई कॉरबोरेशन है कि नहीं, और लेकिन किसने बोल दिया, किसी समाज में या किसी परिवार में या किसी व्यक्ति को, जैसे बच्चों को डराने के लिए कभी कभी कुछ कुछ ऐसी चीजें बोल दी जाती है, अब बच्चा बड़ा सीरियसली लेता है। जैसे बचपन में मुझे घर से जब स्कूल में जाना था तो 1.5 किलोमीटर था। अब कुछ कुछ शरारती लोग होते गांव के, मैं बहुत छोटा था, तो वो कहते थे वहां पर वो आधे किलोमीटर वहां पर जो टर्न है ना, वहां पर वो लोग आते हैं, बच्चों को पकड़ के ले जाते हैं। हमने 2 दिन पहले देखा, इसको पकड़ के ले गए उसको। अब हम तो छोटे हैं, अकेले जाने के लिए डर रहे हैं, बच्चे पकड़ के ले जाने वालों का डर मन में बैठा है। हालांकि वैसा कुछ नहीं हुआ, लेकिन मुझे उसको वैलिडेट करने का कोई रास्ता नहीं है, और मन में वो डर के डर ही रहा। कई साल जाने के बाद वो मन से डर निकल गया कि नहीं ऐसे वो लोग होते नहीं, ऐसा नहीं वैसा नहीं। कभी कभी वो डर इतना गहरा था कि सपने में आ जाता था कि मुझे वो बच्चे पकड़ के चुरा के ले जाने वाले लोग आए हैं, मुझे पकड़ के ले जा रहे। तो ये जो बच्चों को जो कुछ ऐसे विचार बताए जाते हैं उसका इम्पैक्ट हो जाता है, उनको कहेंगे डॉगमास, उसका प्रभाव होता है। तो
जी
ये डॉगमा में चला जाएगा। एक तो डॉगमा हो सकता है, थियोलॉजी हो सकती है, फिलोसॉफी हो सकती है। थियोलॉजी भी किसी व्यक्ति की मान्यता हो सकती है, 4 जन पर थोपी गई है, लेकिन फिलोसॉफी कभी भी किसी एक जन की मान्यता नहीं, क्योंकि उसको लॉजिक के जो
तराजू में तोला जाता है।
पैरामीटर टेस्ट स्टोन्स है, उसके ऊपर घिस करके देखना पड़ता है वो वैसे है कि नहीं, तब जाकर के उसका एक्सेप्टेंस या रिजेक्शन होगा। इसलिए वो वस्तुनिष्ठ होती है, व्यक्तिगत मान्यता पर नहीं चलती।
मतलब इसमें ऐसी वस्तुनिष्ठता है जिसमें हमें अपने विवेक को इस्तेमाल करने की जरूरत है।
विवेक भी आपके ट्रेनिंग के ऊपर निर्भर करता है।
जी जी, हमारा विवेक के क्षतिज कितना विस्तृत है। और सर ये प्रमाण, स्वामी जी, जो प्रमाण है, ये प्रमाण का मतलब कॉन्सेप्ट, मतलब ये प्रमाण कहाँ से आए हैं? मतलब ये प्रमाण बिल्कुल वैसे ही है जैसे हमें कोई चीज
अब
दिखती है ये।
अब देखिए कि आपको ज्ञान तो होता ही है,
जी सर।
आपको बाहर से जो भी सिग्नल्स आ रहे उसका एक आकलन हो रहा है ना, कि हवा बह रही है, ठंड है, गर्मी है, कोई कुछ बोल रहा है, मैं बोल रहा हूँ, आप सुन रही हो, तो आपको ज्ञान हो रहा है अंदर, है ना, कहीं ना कहीं। वो ज्ञान एक जन को हो रहा है अंदर, 5 जनों का अलग अलग नहीं हो रहा है, आपके अंदर ही 5 जन को, मतलब एक जन ने देखा तो दूसरे ने सुना, और जिसने देखा उसको पता नहीं कि उसने सुना है कि नहीं, ऐसा नहीं, वो अंदर एक जन को ही ज्ञान हो रहा है। तो वो जो ज्ञान हो रहा है उसके लिए बाहर विषय है, ये आंखें या कान या ऐसे इंद्रिय है, और वो कनेक्ट हो रहे एक यूनिफाइड सोर्स में। तो ये जो सिस्टम है इसका एनालिसिस करके कौन सी सिस्टम ठीक ठीक ज्ञान देती है, जो हमें ठीक ठीक ज्ञान देती है उसको कहेंगे, उन साधन को कहेंगे प्रमाण। ठीक ज्ञान देती है तो प्रमाण कहेंगे, और जो ज्ञान होता है जो जिसमें कुछ गलती नहीं है उसको कहते हैं प्रमा। तो हमें प्रमा होने के लिए प्रमाणों की आवश्यकता होती है, नहीं तो हमें कई सारे ज्ञान होते हैं लेकिन उसमें कभी कभी गलती रह जाती है, गलत भी समझ लेते हैं, कई कई सारे स्थानों पर गलत फहमियां होती रहती है। तो वो जो ज्ञान है तो ज्ञान,
हाँ सर, आपने उदाहरण भी
लेकिन
दिया।
वो करेक्ट नहीं होता है तो हम उसको भ्रम कहेंगे। एक तो हमें भ्रम होता है या प्रमा होती है। तो प्रमा जिन साधनों से होती है उनको प्रमाण कहा जाएगा, और जिन साधनों से भ्रम होता है उनको प्रमाण नहीं कहेंगे। तो ये प्रमाण है। अब जैसे हम पुस्तक पढ़ते हैं, पुस्तक में पढ़ा कि हिमालय में बर्फ होता है, हमने मान लीजिए कि जाकर नहीं देखा लेकिन पुस्तक से पता तो चला। अब हमने सीधा किसी भी इंद्रिय के द्वारा जाकर नहीं देखा है, उसके बावजूद मुझे पता तो चला है कि हिमालय में बर्फ होता है। यदि वो पुस्तक जो है लिखने वाला उसने ठीक लिखा है तो वो पुस्तक मेरे लिए एक वैलिड सोर्स ऑफ नॉलेज है। या किसी ने बोला
प्रमाण है, और फिर
हाँ,
अगर हम जाके देंगे तो फिर
जी,
वो प्रमा हो जाएगा।
वो नहीं, उसके पहले भी तो प्रमा ही है। यदि कहने वाला ठीक कहता है तो मुझे पता तो हुआ कि नहीं हिमालय पर बर्फ है, तो मुझे ज्ञान तो हुआ, तो उस समय भी प्रमा हुई है, वो प्रमा ही है। अब जाकर देखने के बाद यदि मुझे पता चलता है कि हाँ उसने ठीक ही बोला है, कोई गलत नहीं रहा है, लेकिन जाकर देखने के बाद जो दूसरी प्रमा हो रही उसमें और पहले में बहुत अंतर है। पहला थ्योरेटिकल नॉलेज था, दूसरा एकदम डायरेक्ट नॉलेज है, दोनों में अंतर है।
जी 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 सर, धन्यवाद।
ये प्रमाण है, ये प्रमाण व्यवस्था है, सोर्स ऑफ नॉलेज, वैलिड सोर्स ऑफ नॉलेज।
स्वामी जी, ये जो सारी आपने फिलॉसफीज बताई और दर्शन बताए, क्या हम इन सबको एक ही प्लेन पे रखते हैं या अलग अलग हायरार्कीज हैं?
हायरार्की बहुत अंतर है इनमें, बहुत अंतर, इसलिए तो इतने आए हैं। यदि वो एक ही प्लेट में होते, समान होते तो इतने क्यों होते, बहुत अंतर है। उनका जो मुख्य अंतर है, एक तो प्रमाणों का अंतर है। जैसे मैंने बताया ना कि चार्वाके प्रत्यक्ष मानते हैं, जैन और बौद्ध और वैशेषिक वो प्रत्यक्ष अनुमान को मानते हैं। तो ये सबसे बड़ा डिफरेंस है कि इनके प्रमाण ही अलग अलग है। वैलिड सोर्स ऑफ नॉलेज जो है इनमें अंतर है, ये सबसे बड़ा डिफरेंस है, जिसके कारण उनके जो डेरिवेशंस है ना, वो डेरिवेशंस अलग हो जाते हैं। सिस्टम ऑफ नॉलेज अलग हो गए तो डेरिवेशन भी अलग हो जाते हैं, इनमें काफी अंतर आ जाता है।
और स्वामी जी, क्या ये नियत प्रक्रिया है? मतलब अभी भी ये बन ही रही है, ये नियम अभी भी बन रहे हैं, मतलब अभी भी
नया
कोई
दर्शन कोई भी आकर नया दर्शन बना सकता है, कोई दिक्कत नहीं। कितने लोग मान्य करेंगे, कितना वो इम्पैक्टफुल होगा, कितना वो चर्चा में आ जाएगा, करिकुलम में आएगा, ये कोई बात नहीं है, ये सब अलग प्रश्न है। लेकिन दर्शन कोई भी बना सकता है, उसने मेथड्स ऑफ नॉलेज बोलनी है। He has to establish the derivation system, and he should use it, and then he derive.
And on the basis of pramanas that
Yes.
you mentioned.
तो उसको हम कहते हैं कि प्रमाण और प्रमेय। आपने प्रमाण बताने हैं और उसके आधार पर प्रमेय, मतलब आपने क्या क्या डिराइव किया, क्या डिडक्ट किया उसके आधार पर, वो बताइए।
गणित में हाँ प्रमेय हो गया।
गिव द सिस्टम ऑफ डेरिवेशन एंड गिव द डेरिवेटिव्स। तो ये दोनों देते हैं तो फिलॉसफी बन जाएगी।
हायरार्की से मेरा अर्थ था स्वामी जी से लोअर और हायर या बेटर और वर्स का इन दर्शन।
हम यहाँ पर वो निर्णय करने के लिए नहीं है, मतलब इंट्रोडक्शन है तो हम हायर लोअर ऐसा नहीं कह सकते। यहाँ पर हर एक के लिए अपनी अपनी सिस्टम हायर है
जी। जो
उसको फॉलो करता है उसके लिए वो हायर सिस्टम है। यदि व्यक्तिगत रूप से मुझे पूछना है तो मैं अलग से उत्तर दे सकता हूँ, लेकिन एक एकेडमिक डिस्कशन में वो वाला ऐसा कहना कठिन है
जी।
फिर भी आपको ये पता चलना चाहिए कि कौन सा हायर है लोअर है, उसकी व्यवस्था इस डिस्कशन में होनी चाहिए। ठीक, वो हम जैसे इंट्रोडक्शन होगा पता चल जाएगा।
थैंक यू सो मच स्वामी जी, वंडरफुल सेशन एंड इट वाज वेरी एनरिचिंग। थैंक यू। प्रणाम।